We're fortunate to be joined by Arvid Lindblad, who's going to be making his debut in Formula One with the Racing Bulls team. Arvid, it's been quite a journey for you over the last few years. Has it sunk in yet that you're going to be a Formula One driver?
It's starting to a little bit, but I think for me the real sort of pinch me moment will be in Melbourne next week. So yeah, it's all very exciting.
Well, you've been through the journey in motorsport. You've represented teams in Formula 2 and Formula 3. Was there a defining moment where you felt like you belonged with the elite in motorsport?
I mean, it's difficult to choose one moment. When I started this journey when I was 5, I always believed that I could be in Formula 1, and that was always what I was working towards. I think for me, sort of, obviously getting signed by Red Bull at 13 was a big moment. And then generally, I'd just say my F3 season. That was a really difficult year. Very few people go from I knew it was going to be a difficult year going in. It was a big step. Normally people go from F4 to F3. And people I was racing against were 3-4 years older, and to be able to perform so well that year, I think for me was a real confidence booster, and I think for Red Bull it was what helped make this decision.
Arvid, you've just 18 and you're going to be making your debut. What skill do you think you are most confident about when it comes to racing, wheel-to-wheel racing, when it comes to Formula 1? What do you think sets you apart?
When it comes to racing, I don't know. I just like to get stuck in. I like to make moves, be decisive. I don't know. Like I said, I enjoy getting stuck in and making things happen, and that's what I enjoy about racing.
Well, you've spoken about your Indian roots. You're very proud of them. How does it feel to represent such a massive fan base, given the fact that you're just the third driver of Indian heritage to compete at the highest level of motorsport in Formula 1?
No, for me, obviously, it's very exciting. I mean, India and Indian culture has played a big role in my life. I mean, it's only my third time here in India, but my grandparents are very traditional Indians. They're from the Punjab region, and I was brought up with whenever I was with my grandparents in very traditional Indian ways. I remember from an early age having my nani's Indian food, with rajma and chapatis, and celebrating puja, and going to the Gurdwara and stuff. So I'm obviously very proud to be bringing diversity, and my roots to Formula 1, and obviously India is not. It's not showed, there's not been many drivers in Formula 1 to bring.
A lot of potential.
Yeah, I think to bring such a big country, back to the grid where it hasn't, been that much is obviously very exciting for me.
Final question, Arvid. Formula 1 is a very demanding sport. How do you re-energize and recalibrate yourself, and what role does Red Bull play in that?
Yeah, I think it's a really good point you make, especially now that the years are so long, 24 races. It's a massive skill to be able to come every weekend with the same energy, same motivation, same drive to perform, even when you're at the end of the season doing triple headers. It is really grueling, so to be able to switch off and recover well is really important. And it's something that my trainer and my personal team, we're working a lot with Red Bull to make sure that I'm doing all the things right, having the best routines, sleeping well, recovering well, to really enable me to perform well week in, week out.
Well, Arvid, thank you so much for speaking to WION. All the very best for your debut in Formula 1, and hopefully you have a phenomenal debut campaign.
Thank you very much.